for the 40th time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabuada. 40! Holy smokes, 40 episodes in. That's unreal. And we continue along as yes, as I said last week, today is an interesting episode as we know a lot of podcasts have been doing this, and of course we decided we're going to do it as well. We're going to give our predictions for 2021. You know, obviously the year is still young and we have so much to look ahead in the coming months. But of course, Pete Atkinson, Wolf, and I, you know, we get together and we sit down and think, okay, what do we think could happen? What are some crazy predictions that could happen? Some fun ones. So we have them all there for you today in today's episode. But yeah, we're just very happy that we made it to 40 at the end of the day. But for now, all I can say is just sit back, relax, and enjoy. On to 2021. Hey everybody, welcome to the discussion. Wolf is back. Pete Atkinson's here for the first time in 2021, and we got a fun little episode lined up for you today. As I said in the introduction, as the countdown to the Rumble continues. You know, we like I said in the intro, we are looking right into 2021. There's a lot. Anytime a new year comes up, you know, I think for anything, you always wonder what's going to happen and what could this, what could that, what could happen to the world, what could happen in sports, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, we figured, hey, you know what, if everybody else is talking about what they expect in wrestling in 2021 or what they predict in wrestling in 2021, well, then why don't we do that? So what we've done is we come up with 2 to 3 predictions each, and we'll go into our picks or our predictions in detail, or add on to them, or maybe challenge them, whatever it is. Because I think if 2020 taught us, or what the year taught us, is that anything and everything will happen in wrestling at a moment's notice or out of nowhere, which I think we can all agree on that. So in saying that, I'm going to open the floor up to Pete for his first prediction of 2021. So Mr. Atkinson, whenever you are ready, all yours.
Yeah, so my prediction, I'm going to target the biggest show of the year. I'm going to target WrestleMania. And I'm going to think about the main event of WrestleMania. And I'm going to say that Daniel Bryan is going to win the title in the main event of WrestleMania in 2021. So as I said, we're going into Rumble season.
Yep.
Royal Rumble on the table. And I'm looking at who's going to challenge Roman Reigns, because it's not Goldberg that's going to win that Rumble anymore, thankfully. It looks like it could be an underdog, and I'm trying to think who plays the better babyface role in WWE against the big bad heel than Daniel Bryan. He's had a bit of it, not in the main roster WWE, but okay. And Daniel Bryan, he's had some teases with Roman Reigns. He's had like little interactions with like Kevin Owens around there as well. And I think if he goes on to win that Rumble, you can build a great storyline of him finally overcoming Roman Reigns, winning that title at WrestleMania, main event, and the first real big babyface moment for Daniel Bryan since he returned from injury.
Yeah, he hasn't really had that big babyface moment, and I don't think we should really count his WrestleMania 31 Intercontinental win in the opening match. Not entirely per se, but yeah, I mean, you're right.
I meant since he retired. So
sorry. Oh my goodness, that's right. So that came before his retirement. Oof,
yeah,
it's a big oof on my end. But yeah, no, since he returned, I mean, he's had his big heel moment, but not as definitely not as a face. That's it's not a bad. Which of course, I mean, that could only presume that he potentially wins the Royal Rumble. As you said, I believe you said in a couple of weeks. But I mean, it could also mean that he doesn't win the Rumble and he wins it at potentially Elimination Chamber or Fastlane, presuming that those pay-per-views are still going to be a thing in the next couple of months. So yeah, that's not bad. Wolf, any thoughts on that before we go to you?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I definitely see it potentially happening. I just don't know if he can have that same groundswell of support that worked so organically the first time. I mean, it's absolutely a very strong possibility, and it's probably likely that that's the route they do. I just said do. But shut up. The fact is, it'll be great. It'll be fun to see, and he's definitely getting into the later years of his career. It just won't feel as good as it did the first time. And granted, he can have a great match with Roman Reigns. He has had good matches with Roman Reigns. He's even had more than one rivalry with Roman Reigns.
That's true.
True.
Like we're just going back into something that we have done before in two different aspects, and that he's gone on to main event WrestleMania and win the championship, and he has faced Roman Reigns. The dynamic of Roman Reigns' new character will add a new spin to it. I just don't think it's as exciting as everyone would think it would be.
I'm not sure it is as exciting as people think it would be, but I think it is one of the few natural storylines that you can actually tell here. And I'm looking at the SmackDown roster, and I don't see any realistic people to challenge Roman Reigns as a babyface. Like one of the other few that I thought could do it was Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens has now had the feud and he's had this ongoing thing. And I think you can build a Kofi-esque storyline to take on the big heel. You can build that big Mania push against the heel, being held down by management again. It's not going to be as good as 30 because very few things ever are going to feel as good as 30 because it was so natural in the fact that WWE didn't want to do it, which almost made it all the better when they did have to do it. Of course, it's not going to be as good as that, but I'm not sure there is anybody better placed to do that.
Yeah, that was going to be my point to add on to it. I mean, I know in past episodes I was already saying, there's still the people needs to be built up. We are approaching the season where now the potential individuals to get that prestige spot in a few months will start to show up, and there's still nobody that, at least right now, that just convinces me to get there. And wait, what the? Hold on, sorry.
I hate Firefox.
You back?
I don't know.
Are we good?
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What did I miss?
For those that are not watching on Spotify, or sorry, that are not watching YouTube or listening to Spotify, I didn't realize that Wolf froze. He signed on in another browser to our recording program, and then there's two wolves at the bottom. I don't know how else to explain this. I'm just gonna keep going with what I was saying. As I was saying, that's so far. Like I don't know where you got cut off, Wolf, but I was just saying that to this day, and I was saying in past episodes in the last few months here on the podcast, that there are still faces that don't convince me to be in a world title spot at WrestleMania. And this is the season. This is the month where we start to slowly form it, especially now more than before. I mean, if it wasn't being formed last month or in November, and at least the small hints being dropped there, it's now where they start to really hit the pedal, hit the gas, because the Royal Rumble is approaching. And I still don't see that person. Again, of course, we may not even see it. Then all of a sudden they win the Rumble, and then boom, that's the guy we have to focus on, right? But for Daniel Bryan, he has the experience. Daniel Bryan has been in these situations on both sides of the coin, heel and face, and both times he has delivered exceptionally well. Yes, to Wolf's point, it was organically the first time, but even though it may not be organically this time around, I still think he gets the support because there were still a lot of fans out there, especially when he came back from his retirement. They were saying that they want Daniel Bryan in the main event scene immediately, main event or this and that. Yeah. Yes, he was in the main event scene leading up to WrestleMania 35, but I still feel like fans want to see that more. Hence why I like Daniel Bryan, and I like him as a 2021 Rumble winner. Will it happen?
Well,
who knows?
The only thing I will add as well.
Why are we so quick to assume Adam Pearce isn't winning the title at the Rumble? We should just be ready to take a heel challenge.
All right, okay.
The only other thing I was going to say is Mania is going to be 2 nights again because they are going to run that.
It has to be.
And I feel like the 2 world titles will main event each night. And assuming you don't bring back a legend, and I really hope they don't, to throw into that main event title scene, assuming you don't do that, I'm trying to think, who do WWE trust enough to give that night 2 main event title match to? And it's going to be Roman Reigns. It's going to be one half of it. And who do they trust to put in that main event with him? Somebody who's already shown that he can main event WrestleMania to a very well-received reaction. And that's something they might do.
Well,
all right.
If I can throw in one more thing.
Last point before we move on. Yeah.
I think we've been saying don't bring back a legend for years, and it's fallen on deaf ears. I think the best thing we can say now is don't keep bringing back the same legend. We all know who we're talking about here.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We are talking about Goldberg for the record.
If you're determined, God damn it, you didn't have to say the name.
Yes, you do. People may not know.
Everyone knows who I mean. Look, the point is,
welcome to a podcast.
the point is, like, look, if you're determined to put a legend in there, just at least make it a different one. Like, we don't need the same thing. There, moving on.
All right, Wolf. On that note, Wolf, we're gonna go to you on one of your 3 predictions, which are interesting for the record. I mean, one of them, you could jump into one of them right now, following up on like convincing people for the WWE title, if you want.
I can and will.
Do it.
And I say that Big E Langston becomes World Heavyweight Champion at some point this year. Don't know if he'll beat Roman Reigns. I see him as a potential, Rumble winner. It's not as likely as Daniel Bryan, considering he still has the Intercontinental Championship. But, you never know. That could happen. Big E definitely has what it takes to be in the main event scene. He's proved it. Paul Heyman, repeatedly in Talking Smack, says that he's someone that he sees in that scene. I just feel like we're kind of destined to get it, and I think this is the year that it happens.
Now, of course, for the record, it does need to be known that an Intercontinental Champion has never won the Royal Rumble. Assuming that if he is champ by then, I think maybe you could slowly start to wonder if it will happen. Just to play devil's advocate. Of course, if he loses the title between now and the Rumble, then maybe we can spice it up a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's of importance. I to go back on your point. I know this is something that I've argued against heavily. As in, I don't see Big E. If it doesn't happen now, then yes, I just think that even today, I still feel like we need more time on Big E at the end of the day. I don't know if it'll happen at Mania. I do like the prediction of maybe it happening sometime in 2021, but at WrestleMania, I don't see it. I still don't see it. I don't know. It's what I love about Rumble season. Anything and everything. It's just always so up in the air. It gets me so excited. Pete,
do I see Big E win the title by Mania? No. Do I see him win this year? Probably not, but maybe.
Oh,
but maybe. Honestly, this year I think WWE are going to go try and tested hands just because of the ratings, just because of what's happening. I think they are going to go back to the Bryans, the Rowans. People like Edge, when he returns, I could see winning a title again. I think they're going to go to their tried, true, tested title holders to keep the fans in COVID. However, I think this is, as soon as he won the Intercontinental Championship, I went, he's not winning the Rumble. They're going to use this almost as a testing block to see how he does as a single star on his own at the moment. Use it to see if he can carry the title. Use it to see if he can put on the good matches on his own without the New Day there. And if he does well with that run, I could then see them saying, actually, we're going to pull the trigger on Big E, and by maybe SummerSlam, or even as late as Survivor Series, because it's a long year, by that point, yes, I could see them going, now it's time for Big E. We've tested the waters with him. We've shown he can do it as a single star. We've built him up a bit more, and he can win that title now. But within the next 4 months, no.
And I think that's the biggest test during in the middle of COVID. And I feel like in COVID throughout this whole thing, I mean, to this day, I mean, I'm gonna be that guy that plays devil's advocate and says, what if, assuming that we were in a regular situation, fans involved in one on how would Drew McIntyre be as a champion? How would he be reacted with the live crowd? What if it died out? What if it kept going strong? Right? There's still that mysterious presence of how is he with the live crowd? We've seen it in the early stages, but again, that was just in the hype up in the lead up to WrestleMania. Eventually, you got to deal with post WrestleMania, which Kofi suffered from a lot. Not saying that Drew meets up the same fate, but it's a potential. And to go on somebody's point here, I already forgot who said it, but Pete that was saying that maybe you put the titles back on people that we've already seen it and forgot that reaction, both whether good or bad, right? Like your Kevin Owens, like your Daniel Bryan's, like your Roman Reigns, et cetera, et cetera. As for Big E, I think it's safe and I think it's fair to say that we don't know how the crowd would handle it, how social media would handle Big E. I think social media would love Big E as a champ. I just think the question is for how long. That's the unfortunate situation that we live in.
I think it also just depends on the storyline, because that's generally the big thing whenever it comes to any title holder. If you said 2 years ago, Kofi Kingston, WWE champion, everyone would have just laughed at you. But you built up a fantastic storyline to lead to Kofi Mania, and you got Kofi Kingston as a fantastic story to become world champion. What actually happened in the brain will leave that give or take. But you can build up a mid-carder or even just someone not recognized out of the mid-card into the title scene pretty quickly if they want to, and they can build a compelling storyline to do that, especially with someone like Big E. I don't think you're going to have that issue with Drew McIntyre with the crowd, as you mentioned, just because he is that well-spoken. He's so good on the mic. He has proven himself in the ring, and I think the crowd would continue to buy into it just because
I think so too.
he's likable. I don't know Big E yet. I know he's got enough of an internet following as it stands to potentially get there. It's just a wait and see.
Any final thoughts before we move on?
No.
All right. We carry on. I'm going to jump to my first. I'm going to jump to one of my first predictions here. To tie in. I think to wrap everything up in terms of the Royal Rumble. My prediction is, and I want to say this is somewhat bold, but not really because you never know. And that it's an NXT call up, or maybe somebody still in NXT. Maybe I don't know if it's in NXT, or maybe just like somebody that just gets freshly called up is the winner of one of the Royal Rumbles, and I'm leaning towards Rhea Ripley as a potential Rumble winner for the women's. And I say that because there were rumors that she has been called up. I haven't seen it yet or anything official yet, but I've heard that she does get called up. And if we are not hearing anything yet, then that's why I kind of feel like maybe she wins the Royal Rumble because she put on a great match last year at WrestleMania against Charlotte, as Pete just lost all his lights.
Not all of them. One of them.
What just happened?
The light bulb above me just kind of went off, but it'll probably come back on soon. It's just a bit faulty.
Okay, that's a concern in your household.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do like I just see like an NXT call up. I don't know if it'll be happening in the men's, like I said, excuse me, but I do see maybe somebody like a Rhea winning the Royal Rumble, which is why I say like I feel like they're going to switch the gears to NXT because at least right now, aside from maybe Bianca Belair, as many are saying, I don't see someone convincing right now to win the Royal Rumble. That's currently on the main roster. Not too many interesting options, which is why I say that maybe this is where they flirt with NXT and somewhat get the attention towards NXT and get the wheels going, get the wheels spinning on route to WrestleMania. Wolf?
I can see it, but if Rhea Ripley wins the Rumble, then one of them's got to turn heel if she bounces Sasha. Or, frankly, Asuka, too. You know, does she come as a heel, which she's great at. She's proven that. But I feel like the groundswell of support for her right now is as a babyface. So I'm not 100% sure where you put her, who you have her challenge or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, and another factor is, you know, if you have an NXT talent win the Rumble, then you kind of want to keep that person on NXT because you want those eyes going there to compete with the other show on Wednesday night, you know, Modern Family reruns. And, you know, it's just kind of where you want that to go. Like, that's kind of where the NXT call-up winning would really benefit you. I'm not saying Rhea Ripley's not ready. I'm just saying they need to find a way to do it that makes sense. And where the story actually goes from there, then that's not very clear. So it's possible, but they need to have a plan.
Yeah. Which I'm sure if they... Oh, there's the light. The light's back up in Pete's house as we go over to Pete.
So the light just flicked on in my brain when this was happening. Yeah, like, I can't see Rhea Ripley winning this Royal Rumble. I would love to see it. I think she'd be an excellent choice of winning the Royal Rumble. I just... Honestly, as mad as it sounds, Vince obviously is going to get the final say on who wins the Royal Rumble, and I just cannot see him handing it to an NXT person as much as I'd like to see it. I think the more likely situation is if Rhea Ripley's in the Rumble, she gets like a Bianca Belair showing from last year, where she like dominates for like half the Rumble, eliminates 8 people, that type of performance, then goes on to potentially even... She could get called up into a title scene, maybe has some interaction with the title holder or something in the Rumble.
Right.
I think the likely winners, I think you got Bianca Belair, who could potentially win it. I think you got Bayley, and they might want to do the Bayley-Sasha rematch at WrestleMania. They might do it that way. And
right, that's what I was thinking about as Wolf says Sasha, I'm like, oh crap, Bayley is an excellent candidate to win the damn thing. Oh boy. Pete,
And I can see them like trying to do like the 4 horsewomen set almost. So Becky's won it, Charlotte's won it. Give it a Bailey, maybe Sasha the year after. They might actually try and give all 4 of the horsewomen a Royal Rumble win at some
a
point.
Rumble win, yeah.
And I could see Bailey being a good contender to win it this year. Alexa Bliss could potentially win it as well if you want to try and do something interesting on Raw.
Right, if she's setting people on fire, she can easily set people on fire as they go over
And then
the
she
top
challenges
rope.
Randy or something.
Yeah, she's fireballing people over the top rope. That's what we're going to do.
Fireball. Okay. All right.
So yeah, no, I don't see it. I would love to see it, but
Yeah,
like
I said, this is why I feel like it's one of my bold predictions. I just said that because of the talks of the Rhea Ripley call up. Again, I don't know if it'll happen. We'll see what happens, but that's just why I said it. It could be, out of all the other predictions that we have here, it could be the most obvious one that says, Jose, you're an idiot and you're completely wrong, which is okay because that's why we do this. But okay. Pete, let's go back to you on your second prediction for 2021.
So, 2021, I'm going to stick with WWE and say at Survivor Series, the main event of Survivor Series will be Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, and we will be happy about it when it happens. I'm going to go that extra step because I know Wolf is sighing in his own mind when he hears those 2 names in a match together. So I'm going the extra step and saying the fans will be on board when it happens. That's going to be the main event. So, in my opinion, Charlotte Flair is the best heel wrestler in women's WWE.
No doubt about it.
Becky Lynch is the best face wrestler in women's WWE.
No doubt about it.
In terms of character, that is,
right.
Not necessarily in-ring performance. And upcoming Survivor Series, I think you can have... We don't know which brand Becky's on at this point.
That light is just
we don't know which brand Becky's on at this point. There's also going to be a shake-up before Survivor Series again, so I think it could be on opposite brands. And I would not put it past WWE to do almost the thing that made Becky Lynch so over in the first place. Have her run that invasion type angle again. Have her go after Charlotte Flair, who's going to be champion again by that point, because of course she is. It's Charlotte Flair. She'll be the heel champion on Raw. Becky Lynch will be the face champion on SmackDown. You're going to build that up and even put a stipulation online. Do another like last women standing match like they had at Evolution. Have like the second version of that.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be really good.
That type of match will be such a big deal. And they want to still show that women can main event these big pay-per-views, and they want to have that kind of publicity. So I don't think there's a better choice than those 2 by Survivor Series to be back in the main event season, because Becky Lynch is going to come back hot as ever when she's returns again.
Whenever she's ready, that is. I mean, who knows if... I mean, yeah. I remember
I've gone Survivor Series. I've gone for the bit in the distance.
No, of course.
I want Seth to come to ringside with her with the baby in a stroller.
I'm just saying because I remember people were just assuming that this is it for Becky Lynch at her career. She's going to hang it up to take care of her daughter. I mean, rightfully so. But if that's the case, but I mean, I presume at one point she's going to come back. Obviously, the question is when. But
just let Seth retire with the kid, and she can come back and wrestle. It's fine.
Precisely, that works out. Any other final thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I think like we're clearly building to Charlotte versus Asuka. I mean, at this point, Asuka is kind of cold boogers on a paper plate when it comes to like holding the Raw Women's Championship. She's not even defending it. That's not even like the story. I honestly had to try to remember that she had it. So once they get past whatever creepy, weird Lacey Evans, Ric Flair sex story they're going with, I have a strong feeling that Charlotte versus Asuka is going to be at Mania again this year, and that's where Charlotte wins the title again.
Let's not forget they are actually the women's tag team champions right now.
That too, like they'll drop to I don't know, roll the dice, Peyton and Lacey, and then that's where they break up. Charlotte goes heel because of course she does, and then we'll get to where Pete wants to go.
Charlotte should never be a face. Like she should just be.
I wouldn't go that far. She's great. She excels as a heel. Like small bursts of being a face are not totally unwarranted. I mean, it can work in small doses in short bursts. Like The Miz should never have been a long-term face. Like it works for a certain feud, but when you're destined to be heel, that's where you should stay.
Fair enough. I think it's fair. Let's move on. So that's Pete's second point here. Wolf, let's go to your second point.
Okay, now this really, really depends on the state of the world in 2021 and whether or not, COVID still runs wild on you, brother. But I think that New Japan and AEW form a more cohesive working relationship and talent exchange, possibly having co-run shows. Yeah, that. Basically. I'd love to see. I just totally went up the roller coaster with that and oh wait, no, we're done. No, I do want to see a cross promotional match. I mean, you can tell stories because it's AEW does this great thing on North American television where they don't pretend that these people have never worked anywhere else. They establish history. They talk about other brands. They freaking go to Access Television every Tuesday night with, Don Callis. I'd love to see Omega versus Ibushi. Not necessarily a title for title match. I just want to see them try to tell that story. And again, a lot of this will depend on travel and whether or not we can do this. But I feel the relationship between New Japan and AEW is at a warmer place than it has been, considering, Moxley just appeared at Wrestle Kingdom in a pre-tape. So that there's some talent that work both. I feel like it's going to be more inclusive. And
for the record, obviously, I feel like in past cases, I think it was with Lance Archer, if I'm not mistaken. I this is where my knowledge is a little slim here. That when he had the U.S. title, and then as soon as he made the shift to North America, somebody had to relinquish it. New Japan asked somebody to relinquish the United States Championship. I forgot. I can't remember who it was, but somebody had to drop it. But they're not asking Mox to. They're still leaving it on Mox because they're still hoping for that potential match. Obviously, it probably would be against Kenta. I could be completely wrong in what I'm saying, but I thought that's what I heard.
You are.
Okay.
You are. What happened was Moxley was the champion in 2019, but he couldn't get over because of Tsunami, so they had him relinquish it.
Okay.
Then Juice versus Archer for the title. Archer won, and then Moxley came back at Wrestle Kingdom and won it back from him, and he's held it ever since.
Okay, so I was off. All right.
I can see where you think that, but yeah.
I'm just saying, obviously, a tsunami is one thing, but I guess, this pandemic has already been is about to hit its year anniversary very shortly, and it's still on the guy. So it's okay, so they value something, but I think you're right. I think obviously just the question is when, and I feel like had it not been for the pandemic, we would have already seen New Japan and AEW form that alliance, form that maybe co-shows like you're saying, but like I said, we're still holding our breaths, but I like it. I'd love to see it because it gives us something completely different. It gives us something unique. It gives us something to really tune in and want to put the effort to tune in, right? And then really, I guess, shoot WWE in the face. But who doesn't want WWE to be shot in the face?
More than anything. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I don't know if you two both felt the same thing, but when Wolf said AEW and New Japan working together, I think I heard a distant cry of no from Alex Mercer. Just a scream. Just a please God no. I'm just fade distance.
Okay, look, I'll throw this out there for him, specifically geared towards Alex Mercer, who is a very good friend of mine. The possibility of FTR versus GOD. Two of your guys, two of your teams, man. Think about it.
There's loads of dream matches there, but as you both said, you said not for all the titles. I'm saying yes for all the titles, Omega Ibushi. I'm saying build up Omega, let him win the Impact title, let him win the Ring of Honor title, let him get 3 or 4 big belts on him. And then when he says, I hold all the top gold that's important in wrestling, video package, it's Ibushi on the screen. No, you don't. You don't hold this one. Ibushi versus Omega. There's your storyline. Give it for all the belts. Make it the biggest deal thing. And suddenly, that is a huge match. And yeah, we can have all our other ones as well. You can have Will Ospreay versus Rey Fenix, because that would just be unbelievable. You can have your... who else do we want? Let's have Naito versus Cody. That could be a good, fun match.
Has that happened before?
I don't know. I really don't know. But like, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's lots of stuff you can do with like that type of partnership of huge matches. I don't want to see it all the time. I don't want to see an invasion angle or anything like that. But just the odd one or two exhibition matches, like maybe like there's one at Dominion, then there's one at like All Out. Just the occasional like cross company working between the two of them. I would love to see that. I think it'd be a fantastic thing. Do I think it will happen? Hopefully. I really want to see that.
I mean, of course, much to the chagrin of Alex Mirza.
Stop trolling him.
No, I mean, look. Like I said, I feel like like I said, it's overdue. I want to see it. I know I'd be more inclined to watch more AEW, more inclined to watch more New Japan, but for that matter. But yeah, I did. Like I said, I mean, even just some of the matches you just listed off, just the possibilities are endless. So it's like, how do you not want to see this partnership? And I don't get, like, I mean, I legitimately, I know we are trolling Alex Mirza, but there are people out there that legitimately just want nothing to do with AEW, just like kind of just put it to the side. And like, you realize that there's a whole avenue of like what he can do, and this is a company that's willing, that wants to work with other people. We've seen it with Impact. So like, why shut it down? Like that would be big. That would be really good. I think it'd be a big.
They clearly also don't have a terrible relationship. Otherwise, Moxley would not be working out there. You wouldn't have had Jericho going out there occasionally. So there obviously is at least somewhat of a civil relationship between the two companies, to the extent that they allow that. So it's only like one step on to allow the occasional interproportional matches and get that type of agreement. It's not a big leap into that realm to do it.
I mean, we'll see what the year brings, but I do that,
and Omega versus Okada 5. I'll be ready for it by then. It's been a few years now. Give me Omega versus Okada 5. I'm ready.
I'll take it. You know what I want, and Pete might grin at this a little bit or just totally shut me out. I kind of want to see Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. That works. Sorry,
it's not on my dream match list, but I'd love to see it.
So it is my house phone. As like I do have like
what's a house phone?
What's a house phone? I don't know what a house phone is.
Oh, is that one of those things where you have to call, Sarah and have her connect you to Klondike 5?
Yeah, that thing, whatever it is. I'm gonna go into my prediction next, as I just got a little bit distraught there. Like I said last week, anything and everything will happen in a recording. I feel like it's gonna be a new catchphrase. Anything and everything. As of course, my dog is just.
I'm honestly waiting for my browser to crash again.
Yeah, please don't. Okay. In bouncing off Wolf's point here, I'm going to go into my next prediction, which it's interesting because I was looking up reports on it, and I'm iffy about it because people love to spark rumors on the smallest phrases, on the smallest words. But I'm gonna be that guy. Jay White makes his way to North America, which I know I am aware, and I know we were saying it just before we hit record, that there are reports that Jay White signed a 7-year contract in 2018. Clearly, this is year 3 of it, but people were saying that it was not true, saying that it may not saying that it's false, that he's on like a smaller contract, and they're saying that that smaller contract is up. And of course, we also heard that New Japan. Sorry, not New Japan. WWE is making a really strong push to get Jay White. AEW as well is hoping that Jay White jumps ship there. And that's why I don't know, for some odd reason, it feels like that throughout the year, we're going to hear like these rumors pick up more and more and more, which is why I say that Jay White makes his way to North America. I mean, and if I had to pick, I'm going to be that guy that says AEW because of the whole Bullet Club situation, especially with what's happening now with Impact. It's like, okay, you join that Bullet Club, you really make it stronger again, and we get that bigger Bullet. I don't like it either, Wolf. I don't like it either. I'm not.
No. It's not that. It's just that like he was never in Bullet Club with any of those guys at the same time.
I know, but the whole Bullet Club theme, and now it's like that's like the big thing about this whole Bullet Club, which is why I think it's the most overrated faction in history. That it just is. There's so many different. It's a faction that's run its course like 3 years ago, I think, in my opinion. I just don't see the hype of Bullet Club. Never have. Yeah, I'm not gonna shut my mouth. It's just I don't know. Bullet Club to me is like just one of those fashions that just it's like the modern day bootleg NWO. I am just
Got a
not.
point.
Huh?
He's got a point.
Thank you. I just like
Okay, but the
Bullet Club-
NWO was centered around one guy that eventually just took
I don't know.
everybody.
No,
Well,
here's
they were
what-
centered against-
one
centered
clear
around
guy.
No. Here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. Because the NWO, yes, it started off with a small group, a small group that raised hell, and then it expanded, and then it got bigger, and then it branched out to its own smaller WOs, like the Latino World Order, for example, or the like New World Order Wolf Pack, or whatever the hell it was, and it just got then it just got confusing. It just got out of hand. That's what I feel like Bullet Club has been today, right? I mean, like so many different leaders, or like so many different spin-offs of Bullet Club. You're like, really, guys? Can we just like put a bow on it and then do something else? That
Okay,
was
but we never saw Dennis Rodman in a Bullet Club shirt.
yeah, but
Like-
it's Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, but have you seen the people we have seen in a Bullet Club shirt? It's like not
We
that
have
much
seen
better.
Jeff Jarrett in
Yeah,
a
the
Bullet Club
point
Like
is-
shirt.
Stephen Amell's been in a Bullet Club shirt. Does that count?
Hey, Stephen Amell is a better wrestler than he is an actor. I'll say that about him.
But either way, what I was going to say there is that since after the Elite left, Bullet Club was never the same.
Nope.
Like that was realistically when Bullet Club
Fair.
lost its charm in a way
Yep.
because Bullet Club is what got people invested in New Japan. It what got Western audiences invested in New Japan. It was Bullet Club. It was for me. It was for so many people. I'm not saying it's everyone, but they brought in so many viewers, and then Omega Jericho as well brought in so many viewers to there. But when you had post AJ Styles, post Nick and Matt Jackson, post Gallows Anderson, post Kenny Omega, post Cody, now it's Evil's Club, and you kind of think, well, why? How is Evil now the leader of Bullet Club? He's LIJ. Like LIJ Bullet Club have had so many rivalries. It just seems so weird to now have Evil as your leader. And yeah, Bullet Club for me has dropped massively at the point I do not care about Bullet Club.
Right.
I do still care about whatever this Bullet Club is in AEW right now,
Agreed.
because that is in my opinion, peak members of Bullet Club. It's Kenny Omega, it's Gallows and Anderson, it's Nick and Matt Jackson. And if you had AJ Styles over there, then you basically have all your best members are suddenly back in one place. Sorry, Bad Luck Fale, sorry, Tamatonga, but you were never the mainstream audience members of Bullet
Right,
Club.
and that's more intriguing because of the partnership with AEW, so with Impact, and obviously Gallows and Anderson coming in last week was significant. Although personally, it's Gallows and Anderson. I mean, like these are not two guys that would go crazy over like as if it was like The Rock or Stone Cold or something. But all right, that's cool. All right, it's Gallows and Anderson, DBKA, but it's still it's just to go off to Pete's point. It's peak Bullet Club, so of course there's going to be some relevance to them. Again, Gallows and Anderson, but Bullet Club boys, okay, fine, sure, whatever. But yeah, I just anyways, to go back to my original point here, which is why I said like what.
I forgot we were talking about Jay White.
Yeah, we were. That's what I was saying.
Even
We were
mention that.
talking about Jay White. In saying that, I just feel like with like with the whole Bullet Club thing, yeah, he could join that, but I just feel like there is a lot of room for him here in North America. I mean, again, I just pick AEW because I know a lot of people hate seeing New Japan talent flip over to WWE because of the style, because of this. They feel like they'd be worse off. Although I feel like I mean, I know AJ Styles is probably the only example where like he hadn't suffered from that New Japan WWE flip, but just in general, I get why people. I wouldn't mind seeing him in WWE. I think it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be really cool, but yeah, I feel like if that 7-year thing is 7-year contract is false, then maybe at some point we see him somewhere in the North American wrestling. Like I said, the question is where, and
So
we'll find that out.
this is actually the only one on here that I think possibly really could happen, but I don't want to happen.
Ooh.
I think Jay White has found a really, really great spot for himself in New Japan Wrestling.
Absolutely.
And I think that role suits him to a T. And actually, even being in the Bullet Club suited him. He was a decent leader replacement before they got into the weird, evil stuff, which I don't want to get back into. But Jay White in that role was fine. And Jay White running this kind of like slightly more sinister, evil Bullet Club. I'm sorry, I'm not meant to mention evil again. This, but I don't know how well he would translate across to AEW or to WWE, because he has this very niche style of wrestling that he works on himself, which makes me think it won't work in WWE. And he isn't actually as good on the mic as other people are in those promotions, that it doesn't stand out as much. He stands out in New Japan at the moment because there's only realistically 2 or 3 Gaijins who can wrestle and talk over there. So that's why he kind of does so well there. And he's a fantastic wrestler. I'm not doubting his in-ring performance. He's fantastic in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But I just do not think he has that same star power image in AEW or WWE that he has in this very great carved out role he has for himself in New Japan.
In New Japan, yeah.
And I think he has better chance of succeeding in AEW than he does WWE, but I really don't think he'll be as big a deal in either of them as he is in Japan.
That's a fair point. It's definitely fair, Wolf.
Okay, well, the thing about Kylo Ren is that, I'm never not going to do that joke, guys. Come on.
I know.
The thing about Kylo Ren is that he's definitely more suited for New Japan. If that's where he can stay, that's where he should stay. If he's determined to leave, then AEW. I don't doubt. Look, there's a scenario, and as unlikely as this sounds, there's a scenario where he can succeed in WWE, but you need everything to go right. You need to give him the right deal, put him right on the main roster, use that star power, immediately carry over the audience. Do not change a fucking thing about him. His character is perfect right now. WWE hasn't had a character like him in years, at least not one that they would get behind. And keep Vince McMahon away from him. Keep Vince McMahon away from him. Triple H is in charge of Jay White's booking. You make him your top heel immediately. I never want to see a babyface Jay White because
no. Oh
no.
That's what works so great about him. He's just like that guy now. He's not the weird knife fetish guy from 3 years ago when he came back from Excursion. He actually is a fully rounded character, and he cut one of the best promos I've ever seen after Wrestle Kingdom. If he goes to WWE, give him the full AJ Styles treatment. You somehow managed to not screw that up. You got to do that again. Do not put him in NXT. NXT is great. It's wonderful. It's not where someone of his star power should go. I don't even know if Kushida's still there. Is Kushida still even there? Because
he's somewhere. He's somewhere.
No, he's still there. He had a match with didn't he have a match with Ciampa recently? Oh, no.
God help me. Anyway,
I can't remember. Yeah, he's still in NXT. Yeah.
The point is, the scenario in which Jay White succeeds in WWE is a scenario in which you do absolutely everything right without screwing up. And I'm not sure I trust him to do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's as likely as Colt Cabana beating Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm saying that AEW is a place that has a better chance of, giving him that platform in North America. Yeah. But you also don't want him to get lost in the shuffle, because as great as they are, as much as they let their wrestlers be themselves, they have a packed roster. And unless you're ready to put him in your top program, I'm not sure that you take Jay White just yet.
And let's not forget. I mean, we have impatient fans here in North America as well. We said this a couple of months ago on the podcast, but how many times have we said that? Where we remind people people were pissed off that Omega wasn't immediately in the title reign, in the title scene, right? And then eventually got worked up to where he is now. But I'm worried that, again, it's going to be a similar path where it's oh my goodness, what are you doing?
I feel you have to do the same thing in AEW as Wolf just said in WWE. If you do that route as well, you have to debut him against your Cody Rhodes, against your Jon Moxley.
I agree. I agree with you. I'm just saying that people were pissed off that when Omega wasn't in the immediate title scene, they're saying they're wasting his talent. He should have won with WWE or blah blah blah. I'm like, patience, you sons of guns. Let's go on to Wolf's.
Wait, one more thing. Go on. Let me explain what would likely happen if he went to WWE. On the chance that he goes right to the main roster, I think we all know exactly what happens. He gets stuck in a feud with Dolph Ziggler for 3 months, where they trade wins back and forth. Tell me you don't see it. Tell me you don't see Dolph Ziggler in a leather jacket with a bunch of Halloween knives. Look at me, I can be spooky too.
Or
Okay.
he actually more likely debuts in NXT, wins the NXT Championship after about 3 months, has a decent NXT run, gets called up in the Royal Rumble, gets eliminated in 2 minutes by Baron Corbin, gets called up in the main roster shortly afterwards, then goes into the Dolph Ziggler feud.
Oh,
I
dude,
feel like you just read any number of different Wikipedia entries.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
can't even like say which one. Like for
right.
the sake of argument, let's say Nakamura.
All right, let's move on because we got 2 more points to go. Wolf, let's go with you on your last point to follow up on the AEW run.
Okay. On the note of Kenny Omega, he's going to lose the championship this year. And Hangman Page is going to be the first non-Kota Ibushi person to kick out of the One-Winged Angel. Because there's a long-term storytelling there that they did really well. It wasn't a necessarily organic partnership, but it worked really well. They made a great tag team, you know, as good as 2 singles wrestlers can be expected to do. They had some really great matches as tag team champions.
They did.
But the long-term booking for this has to end with Hangman Page getting that babyface push into the main event of, let's say, Double or Nothing or All Out. Double or Nothing might be a little too soon, but it's at some point this year.
Yeah, I think All Out would be more
All Out.
It's more likely, possibly full. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna say Full Gear. I'm gonna say Full Gear because they originally named that pay-per-view after him. I feel like him winning the championship in the main event of a pay-per-view named after his bit from being the Elite would be very poetic. I don't live or die on that hill, but I feel like it's where it's most likely. The point is, Hangman Page has a great following. He's a fantastic babyface. He's a relatable babyface. And Kenny Omega, the story's just there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, at All Out, he's fighting Ibushi. We've already established that. So.
Oh yeah. Well, Ibushi's gonna kick out of the One-Winged Angel again.
That storyline. Great. Isn't it great that the 2 most protected finishers in the industry, the One-Winged Angel and Baron Corbin, the 2 best protected
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm going to go one step further. I think this is a great call. I would have also gone with this as well. I think All Out's probably a very good shout. Full Gear might be equally good. I reckon we might see a 4 Horseman revival in AEW this year with Hangman Page, with FTR, and with whoever else you want. I hope it's not Sean Spears, but it might be Sean Spears.
Nah.
But I reckon you will get Hangman Page. Maybe throw Cody Rhodes in there. Who knows? Whoever you want. Just
I'd say Cody.
And then All Out, you're going to get your Blood and Guts match, which they teased for and then didn't do before, and that'll be between your new 4 Horsemen and whatever this new Club Elite faction is.
The OC2.
Your Kenny Omega, Nick and Matt Jackson, and hopefully not Marty Skill.
Right, he's a free agent, is he not? Yeah.
Hopefully not Marty Skill. Let's say that. That's going to be your all-out match. That's going to be fantastic. And then from there, Omega, Page might get the final fall over Omega in that match, giving him his title match at Full Gear. And that's when he wins. That's when you get the big babyface push. That's when he kicks out the One-Winged Angel. And you get the whole thing Wolf said. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And I hope it happens. I think it will happen.
I just feel like, again, like out of all the predictions that we've said, I know Pete said like the JY one was a bit more likely. This seems more likelier than anything, just because again of the long-term storytelling. And it's been something that's been going on for essentially since the start of AEW, and it is a compelling storyline. Again, as a casual fan of AEW, that's something I feel like would get the right conclusion. Obviously, the question is what's going to happen with this whole Kenny belt collector situation that we're approaching, and what the situation is going to be by the time we get to a potential Adam Page storyline. But I like it a lot. And I kind of want to see it too. I mean, it's Adam Page. This was something who people were hoping that he would. I mean, I know I did that he would be the first AEW champion before Jericho did. Obviously, Jericho was the right choice at the end of the day. But I know I'm somebody that that wanted to see AEW. That wanted to see Page become champion. Obviously, the question is when and who better than Omega to take the title off of. It's not a bad option. I like it a lot. I think it's very, very plausible, very, very likely compared to all the other ones, especially this last one that Pete's gonna say as we transition into the last one, the last fun prediction of 2021. This one's great. I love this one a lot. Go ahead.
So I'm sticking with AEW, and I'm saying that we will have a new TNT champion by the end of the year, and that person is El Generico. El Generico is winning the TNT championship in 2021. See, I could have sold out here. I could have just said he's going to go to AEW, and that would have been bold enough prediction. No, he's going to go there, and he's going to win the title. I reckon potentially even on his debut. It might even be that level.
Now, for those that don't know who El Generico is, or El Generico in Spanish, that is WWE superstar Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
that makes his way to AEW, which would be hilarious. I mean, I don't know if I maybe he does leave WWE. I feel like he may not be internally happy with what he's up against, and not many fans are either. In fact, I think I kind of got
if he is happy with what's going on with him right now, I'm very, very concerned because he's being treated like utter garbage right now on WWE television. He is also quite a politically charged guy as well, so I can imagine if he has another option, he might want out. I don't want to go too much in that, but his contract was due to expire in June this year. From what I understand, he had a couple of months injury during this 3-year contract, which means it's extended slightly to about August, September this year. But that means he'd still be a free agent by that point, and he should be able to wrestle straight after that. There shouldn't be a no-compete clause once it expires. So my thought process is, I don't know who the champion is going to be by then. It might be a heel person. It might be a Cody Rhodes doing his open challenge thing again. But I reckon at one of the pay-per-views, it might be Full Gear, there will be an open challenge mystery competitor for the TNT championship on that pay-per-view, and everyone's go, "Oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is it?" And out comes El Generico. Wins the title on his first night in AEW. Suddenly has been better booked than his last 2 years in the company in WWE in one night. And I'm not criticizing all WWE's booking. But the most underutilized guy on that roster right now is Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn is a phenomenally good wrestler. And WWE's current storyline for him is he's forgotten how to wrestle.
It's
one
true.
of the best wrestlers in the company, and your current storyline is, he has to run away from people to try and win matches. He has to try and tie them up in the apron to get a sneaky counter victory, because that's the only way he can win a match, because he's terrible at the wrestles. So get him out of there, because he is so underutilized. Get him away AEW, because he knows people out there as well. I know he's friends with Pac and stuff. So I can imagine him wanting to go there. Fair enough, it's without Kevin Owens, but I still see it happening. And I think it'd be a great moment if it does.
Wolf?
Over the past couple of days, I've had some free time, so I've been listening to old podcasts. In the past 2 days, I've listened to John Moxley, I've listened to FTR, I've listened to Brody Lee on Talk is Jericho, going over what their frustrations in WWE and what led to them leaving. And without hearing what he has to say, I know for a fact that's exactly how Sami Zayn feels. I can see the future. I see him doing the podcast and Talk is Jericho. They had me running away from Daniel Bryan when I wanted to wrestle him. I don't get it. You can just see it. You can hear the voice in his tweets. The character's frustrated, but you just know that's how the performer is too. There's a snowball's chance of hell of Sami Zayn re-signing with WWE.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Unless they give him the push, the monster push that Daniel Bryan got. I don't see that happening. He's gonna wait out. He's not gonna leave early. He's not gonna CM Punk. He's gonna wait until his contract expires. He's going to leave. He'll be amicable. He'll give his shoot interview on Talk is Jericho. We all know, and he's going to AEW. He has too many friends there to go somewhere else. We're going to see Danhausen's favorite wrestler in the mask one more time this year. Whether or not he wins the TNT title, that's a different thing. Because
I'm also saying I don't know if he will re-debut as El Generico. He might keep his WWE character, because his character,
he might.
If it could wrestle, is a good character. So he might want.
Babyface Sami Zayn was great. there's no way he doesn't put the mask back on and maybe he goes to AEW, he comes as El Generico, comes out, he wrestles the match, and then takes the mask off and says, "Okay, Remy Sabai is back," which I think is his real name. Isn't that it?
Oh, he turns heel and rips the mask in half and spits on it on the floor.
Well, that's the thing. He's so good. He can be a heel or a face, and I'd love to see him in a feud with Cody, either as a heel or a face. I feel like that's one of those feuds that I don't think we ever actually got to see that has a lot of potential because either one could play either side. But so the point is, we're definitely going to get Sami Zayn wrestling outside of the Connecticut company.
You can say Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan was exactly that feud. Either could play either side. They're both fantastic heels, they're both fantastic faces. You get a WrestleMania, and I thought that I thought that match was going to steal WrestleMania going into it. Before WrestleMania started, that match is going to steal WrestleMania. They're finally going to let him wrestle. They're going to have the two possibly best technical wrestlers on the main roster go at it for 20 minutes, and he ran away, and that is the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Still wrestle heel and wrestle, and I don't get why you wouldn't do that. And just their utter not seeing what they have in front of them, not seeing what this guy can do, and just having him act like an utter idiot. As we've said, he has to want out of there, because if he doesn't want out of there, I don't understand wrestling anymore.
Well, in saying that, I think we're going to wrap it up there, gentlemen. A lot of fun predictions going into 2021. I think the most predictable one out of all of them is probably Omega and Page. Title is there. But El Generico would be really entertaining, and it would really tickle some feathers, tickle some fancies among the wrestling community.
Tickle some feathers?
I don't know. I thought it was a phrase. I'm sorry.
Do you know how feathers work? They do the tickling.
On that note, before Wolf comes after me, gentlemen, thank you as always, and let's get to the closing.
Yeah, go tickle some feathers.
You made it to the end of the episode. You made it to the end, and I really thought that tickle your feathers was a phrase, and I guess it's not, so I'm being made fun of in my group chat. Next week we have a really unique episode here on the podcast, and what we're going to do is, in anticipation to our Royal Rumble's prediction show, which is in 2 weeks, and of course the Royal Rumble pay-per-view in 3 weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to randomly assign Royal Rumble numbers in a draft for our predictions, because we obviously can't predict who's going to win the Royal Rumble. 30 superstars on both Rumbles. That's very hard to do. So we're going to assign numbers to everybody. We're really, really excited for that, and I'm going to go into more detail next week. But yes, we do have a draft essentially next week. And once again, I cannot emphasize enough how excited I am, and we're going to go into detail next week. But for now, and as always, that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, available wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. I'm Jose Tabuada, and we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye.